Between 1975 and 1976, the average cost of tuition was $7,833 per year, adjusted to 2015 inflation. This included all fees, room, and board. By 2016, in comparison, the cost has risen to $19,548 per year. This is an increase of just shy of 250%. Not only that, the minimum wage in 1975 was $2.10, which adjusted to inflation is equal to $9.25 compared to the current $7.25. In comparison, in 1975, a student could pay for university working minimum wage 17 hours per week with a 2-week vacation. On the other hand, in 2015, a student making minimum wage would have to work 54 hours a week with the same vacation to be able to afford the tuition. This would mean working 8 hours a day, every day, which is clearly impossible to conceive while being a full-time student. This inability to pay for university has led to a point where people graduating in 2016 are the students with the biggest student debt ever, with over $37,000 on average. After all this negative data, the main question arises: why? To start with, one of the main reasons, the steady decrease of state and federal funding directly correlates to an increase in tuition for the students. In the year 2000, state and federal funding made up 83.3% of the total revenue of UTEP, leaving the students to pay the rest. On the other hand, in the year 2012, the percentage provided by state and federal funding had dropped to 66.7%, leaving students to provide the rest. In order to get a more in-depth view of this, we interviewed a professor that has been working at UTEP for 27 years and has seen the tuition skyrocket.
Why do you think that the tuition keeps increasing every year?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons for it. One reason is that you have people like me who have been here longer and get a little bit of a raise now and then, so that adds to the cost of keeping a faculty. As we try to build programs of some note, like border studies or something like that, we try to attract well-known intellectuals, well-known academics who cost more to bring them here than if we hired, just somebody right out of college or right out of grad school. So there is a cost in terms of recruiting top faculty. But I think most of the reason that there's been an increase here is because over the years since I've arrived, the percentage of our operating costs that have been covered by the Texas legislature have been consistently dropping.
We also looked at the explanations UTEP gives for these constant increases, which are summarized in this short video.
Ever wonder where your tuition goes? Tuition and fees go straight to your success, like keeping our technology current, making sure you can access tutoring and advising, and recruiting and keeping the best faculty. It's all about investing in your education. And talk about value. Compared to other schools, UTEP has the lowest net cost. That's money out of your pocket after grants and scholarships of any research university in the country. And we are far more affordable than other Texas universities. UTEP knows how hard you work to attend and pay for school, so we have done our best to keep tuition low. We didn't raise tuition last year, but it's time to ask now. It's a real balancing act, keeping tuition and fees as low as we can so your education is affordable, while at the same time making sure you have the best labs, top-notch faculty, and a great college experience. This costs money. Our campus keeps growing and we have to invest in our future. So, we're asking for a small increase, just 3% of your current cost. Know what that adds up to? About $90 to $100 per semester for most of our students. When you pay your $90 with everyone else's $90, it really adds up. It adds up to more faculty, more tutoring, and more opportunities for you.
But even though these explanations seem reasonable, we still think that college should be affordable to everyone, and the state and federal governments shouldn't cut the funding to education, as our interview explains.
It would be nice if we didn't have to ask students to take on that extra burden, but that would mean that the legislature would have to do something different. And education is one of those places that's easy for politicians to cut, because the inner workings of education is complicated enough that people don't know where the money's going or how we try to save resources, and so it's easy to pick on education from a political standpoint. But Texas doesn't invest as heavily in higher education as most other states. They're in the lowest 5 in the country in terms of per capita investment in higher education.
To conclude, we think that the rising tuition, although somewhat fair, is still too much of a burden for students which are also losing scholarships, financial aid, and see the government cut the funding for federal student loans year after year. This issue could be resolved by increasing the funding for education instead of cutting it, which would help students have an affordable tuitions without getting into huge amounts of debt.